will say, or all receiving your time as you create time to exist.
Perfect.
We will, as you say, begin with question.
Okay.
All right.
Let me see here. Did the laws of the physical universe...
You mean yours?
Yeah, our physical universe. Are you distinguishing mine from ours?
In that way, understand, there will be, within many mass consciousnesses, the idea of their own, in a sense, physical universe. We will share what you term to be many portions of one universe in that way. There are many ideas that you call parallel universe, some of which do not in that way share the idea, agreement, that you call laws of physics. The same as you.
Okay, I would be talking about these Earth mass.
All right.
Did they evolve as they were needed, or were they conceived in toto at the time of their creation?
Every idea in that way, as you understand it, comes complete, as a complete idea. Therefore, the idea of the creation of this particular viewpoint universe will then have contained, from the moment of its creation, inception in that way, all the ideas which then define it by its vibration. You follow me?
Yes. Was it created all in kind of one instant, or?
Now, understand that from the point of view of what you term to be non-physical dimensionality, which is where, in a sense, in your vernacular, the universe was created from, it seemed, in a sense, to be an instant, since there is no time in that way. In terms of the creation of time itself, then that manifestation, as it was created, then must follow, in a sense, its own course, and enact out itself through the idea of a time frame, a time scale. In that sense, as you would say, it took time. You follow me?
Time to develop the creation?
In a sense, understand that the creation was instantaneous. But as it was manifested into physical reality, one of the ideas defining the perimeters of physical reality itself being the concept you call time, then it seemed to unfold in a time sense.
I got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Question?
At the beginning of time as we know it on the planet, were these thought forms projected to create a physical being on the earth, or how did that?
In a sense, again, as you understand, there were many ideas of projections in many different time frames in that way, some of which were, in your estimation of what you term to be historical time, quite instantaneous, some unfolded more within the time track. There is at this time, in what you perceive to be the idea of your physical form, a blending of the two ideas.
And when these ideas first created on the planet, was that considered the country of, or the landmass of continent of Atlantis?
Nope.
The Garden of Eden?
Nope. Understanding that way, the idea of what you will term to be, now realize this is quite allegorical, from a very, very specific point of view, but as you may understand it in your terminology, there will have been the, I'll say, projection of that physicality, that life force in the area blended as it was at that time, not known to you in the way it is now, but more in the area you would call a collective Asiatic landmass. You follow me? More in the area you would call China. But it was then the idea that split into what was later Lemuria and Asia. You follow me?
Yes, what happened to Atlantis, and is that...
Understand that is quite recent in your history as you know it. Not more in that way was the destruction of that landmass then approximately 12,500 of your years ago. You follow me?
The destruction of what landmass?
Atlantis.
So what happened, when did Lemuria...
Lemuria, in that way, was more the idea of approximately in that way, allow me to say, 50,000 of your years ago, there were in that way major, what you term the upheavals. 75,000 of your years ago in that way. Also there were in that sense the idea of this landmass stretching back to several hundreds of thousands of your years in that way. But there was then the idea in your time frame, as you understand it, within the overall land mass in that way, which existed at the time of the projection of the physicality, then many tens of millions of your years ago, as you count time.
Was the destruction of Lemuria 75,000 years ago connected with the altering of the Earth's axis and what we call the Ice Age?
To a degree, there was that time frame coincident. Understanding that way, it will simply have represented the vibrational patterns of your Earth crystal as it was going through a very natural cycle in that way. You follow me?
Yes.
Was not then the entire idea of what you determined to be destruction in the 75,000 year time frame, but also extended to the 50,000 year time frame of your years ago? This then was the origin upon what you now hold to be your present existence upon this continent that you have termed North America to be the, I'll say, injection of that civilization you recognize to this day in that way as what you call the Hopi. You follow me?
Yes, and is that the epicenter, or say the center of where the center of the Earth comes out is where the Hopis?
In an allegorical astral sense, not in what you would term be a literal configuration. But they will be able to make literalness of it, in that they have already deemed that their reality exists both in the physical and the dream state naturally.
Do the beings that live in the center of the Earth, if there are such occurrences, is this where the Hopis, is their contact to the surface?
Again, understand in a way that what you express to be the existence in a ray of consciousness within your planet will, for the most part, be of extra-dimensional sense. Therefore, there will be a doorway in that way within that civilization you call Hopi, and they will have passage through. But understand it is not as you understand it exactly, literally, physically, that they exist in that way inside your planet. Although there are pockets in your terminology of existence in that way under the surface of your planet, but it is not as widespread in a physical sense as you think. There is, in a sense, a widespread existence in an astral sense, an extra-dimensional sense. This then can form the transformation in that way through the doorways as they are created by the mass consciousness of any particular culture within your entire civilization, and as such they give themselves free access to these dimensional realms, to these contacts with other civilizations, other consciousnesses, which are in that way said to exist within the surface of your Earth in other dimensional sense in that way, because they allow themselves to exist, the Hopi that is, allow themselves to exist halfway between physicalness and non-physicalness as a natural state of being. You follow me?
Yes, is that the state of consciousness that that the present civilization as we know it progress towards?
Yes, in a sense. This is what is defined as the idea of transformation from third density to fourth density awareness. That, in that, you will allow the heretofore self-created separation between your physical reality and non-physical reality to become removed and be blended in consciousness so that you will begin to live, physically live your dreams. You follow me?
Yes.
Thank you. Question?
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff I could share, but, you know, like you said, I don't want to ramble on for hours and hours. And it pertains to the idea of Jesus Christ, which is an idea that I've never really much been interested in, and that I'm taking a look at now in order to integrate my judgment and fear of religion in general.
All right.
And I feel like I've been taking a look at what I think are my past lives in order to get another picture from a perspective of looking at it that way.
Some have been also alternate. Rather than directly linearly paths to this here and now physical life. You follow me?
Alternate to what I am now.
Alternate lives, alternate dimensions of reality.
Okay.
Another time track.
All right. Well, the one that I could really pick up on was that I had a life as a nun, or I have a life as a nun.
Yes.
And in which it ended in a lot of bitterness towards that idea because certain ideas that I had were never fulfilled. But in thinking about being in the time when Jesus Christ was there, I don't really get a picture of me other than maybe somebody who sort of stood back and watched.
You were not in that way within the exact time frame of the physical life of that entity.
Then I'm okay, then I was correct about that. Okay, I guess that's all. Thank you.
All right. Question.
I have a question concerning illness that occurs on our planet, which contagious diseases, so-called. When a person has some kind of disease and somebody else gets it, like say the flu or any kind of contagious disease, would it be that it's really not contagious from one person to the next, except that the person, let's say, that would develop it after the other one they would definitely be causing it to themselves, right?
Yes. There is, however, the creation of a physical, symbolic mechanism to, in that way, reflect back to you the idea that it is being a transference of consciousness, a transference of idea, a sharing of concept.
Right, but a person has a choice of whether they want to take it or not, right?
Yes.
In other words, if I had something to give to somebody else that was a contagious disease, I would be actually offering them that choice, and they have a choice of taking it or not taking it.
Yes.
Right. And that's what it is across the board for all these diseases.
Yes.
Okay.
Understandably, many times there will be the acceptance of the offering so as to perform a service to the overall idea which the mass consciousness, that is the collective consciousness of your entire civilization, is working through at the time. You follow me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
One other thing. So why do people, maybe I can answer the question while I'm asking it.
Maybe.
The old saying that when you resist something a lot, you become that thing.
Yes.
Would it basically be because if you're resisting it, you're putting a lot of attention on that idea
Yes.
and causing it to just stay there with you?
Yes, if you feel the need to defend yourself against something, then the basic belief that you are then saying you have is that you feel there is something worth the energy to defend against. And in that way, your belief reinforces the idea that there is something possibly more powerful than yourself in that way that can, for some reason, then gain power over you. And that is why you create then the idea of its ability to have more energy than you feel yourself to have, because you are giving your power away to that idea in feeling that you need to defend yourself from anything anyway to begin with. You follow me?
It's interesting. Yeah. So you're okay. So you're resisting something.
That is another portion of yourself.
You're just feeling that it will overcome you, so you have to stand back from the whole thing and hope it won't hurt you.
That is the creation of the idea of the reinforcement of that negative effect.
Mm-hmm. So as long as you feel there's something there that's more powerful than you,
then you will always be a victim.
Right, and you'll always have these things occur.
Yes. Until you allow yourself to realize that the only reason you are creating them is to give yourself the understanding that you no longer need to create them. You follow me? Those physical ideas, those physical expressions are there as symbolic reflections which you create for yourself to remind yourself in a physically conscious manner that you are creating it and this is what you are going through, and there is no need now to experience this idea anymore because you are allowing the purpose for the physical creation to be lived out, and in that way, in allowing any symbol to serve its purpose, it no longer needs to manifest.
I understand that. What about for a person who doesn't consciously become aware that they are causing that for themselves?
Again, understand in that way, it may still serve the purpose of allowing themselves to create that for themselves so as to not be conscious of their own creation, so as to interact in such a way, in a limited viewpoint way with other individuals, so as to allow those individuals in that way to come to their own terms of acceptance for what is occurring, and in that way allow there to be a service being done by the acceptance of that disease for display to other individuals so that they can come to terms with ideas within themselves. You follow me?
Yeah. So they're like a mirror for other people.
Yes.
That's their purpose in having that disease.
Can be, yes.
Can be, yeah.
There are many, many reasons for the manifestation of any particular physical symbol in your society.
So it's like everybody's helping each other out, reflecting.
Yes.
Amazing, huh?
It is very, very natural. It is very simple. It is very automatic. Thank you.
Does the same go for natural disasters around the planet?
In a sense, though they will be seen, in a sense, to be reflections of the ideas in that way in a mass conscious point of view. In other words, that portion of the mass consciousness that is self-aware of itself in that way, that is then acting out the idea of blending its mass un- and mass subconsciousness in the same way that you as an individual are beginning to blend your subconscious and unconsciousness with your outer aware physical consciousness in that way. And as such, then to ease these, I will say, tension symbols within yourself, to relieve stresses within yourself in much the same way that your overall mass conscious awareness, your planet, relieves stresses within itself in that way. Understand you are simply now as a mass consciousness beginning to realize that you have the opportunity to rechannel these energies from the earth crystal in the way, from the mass consciousness in that way, into more positive effect. Because you now simply understand that you are the cause of that idea, you are sharing that idea, you are the creator of that idea, and in that way you may choose any which way you wish to manifest that energy, and so become conscious creators in parallel, tandem, synchronous co-creatorhood with the entire consciousness of your civilization. You follow me?
Yes. Did this knowledge of the universal law have something to do with the caste system in Atlantis?
Rather, it wasn't that way. The choice to ignore that idea that caused what you term to be the differentiation between levels of society.
Could you explain a little more in detail why there was such a caste system, if there was one?
There wasn't that way, yes, and understand it was from the idea that there was the beginning of the choice in a mass conscious way to explore the idea of, I'll say, negativity within the self, the idea of separation of the self from all that is. When the individual then chose to feel that they wish to explore separation of self from all that is, then understand that there must be still within the higher consciousness the recognition of the self-connection to all that is. But when you choose separation from all that is in a conscious manner, then you are self-limited, you are self-blinded in that way, yet still following the yearnings, in a sense, that are imparted to you from the higher consciousness, which always whispers into your subconsciousness the idea of the connection that you have. Having made the separation, however, and not listening in that way to the higher consciousness from a collected point of view, you will then fulfill the idea of yearning to be connected to everything by then feeling that since you are not a part of everything, the only way to become connected to everything is to have dominion over it. You follow me?
Yes.
What do you mean dominion over it?
Domination. Subjugation.
And that leads to materialism?
That leads to the idea of differentiation and what you term the caste system. It leads to the idea that there is a need for materialization in order to support the self, rather than simply allowing the idea of the expression of material ideas to be simply one more symbol for the manifestation and recognition and integration of your entire consciousness towards the idea of a collective, all that is. You follow me?
Yes.
Thank you. Question?
On the subject of illness, as we were discussing before, are you saying that even for someone whose wavelength is not attuned to someone with perhaps, say, AIDS, if they came in direct contact with the carrier of AIDS and into direct contact with the symbol of transmission of AIDS, they still wouldn't get AIDS?
If that is not their vibration, no.
Okay.
You are your own universe. You choose what you wish to manifest within it, according to what you believe about yourself.
Okay, good. Slightly different subject. Acknowledging that we do have free will, and that some of us choose negative vibrations, even as being victims, is there any validity to the idea of Earth as a prison planet within this concept of mass reality?
Only as you choose to imprison yourselves.
So there's no mass consciousness choosing Earth as a prison planet or something like that?
Allow me to say, there is that idea within the overall mass consciousness. At this time, as we perceive your overall mass consciousness, it is not a major percentage of what the mass consciousness knows itself to be.
Was that just an idea that portions had, or did they actually go through a process?
It was an idea which was then created to begin to understand from the separated point of view you were coming from, the idea of contact with other consciousness that you had to first deem to be, in a sense, outside yourself, then recognizing it from the point of view that you created in being separate from all that is, you began to recognize it as, greater than yourselves in that way, and as such, formed temporarily the idea that somehow you were then put upon by them and imprisoned in that way in your situation, always then casting off the responsibility of your creations onto something else other than yourselves.
But that act of someone else, even symbolically putting us here, didn't actually occur. It was just a concept that we created to justify.
You put yourselves here.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Why?
Well, I'm just joking.
Thank you.
But I've got a question.
All right.
The people in Ethiopia who are starving, are they doing that on purpose, like to just to
In a sense,
talk to them?
understand in that way that, as we have said in that sense, there is always within any situation the opportunity to see the gift within the situation and to allow the symbol of that situation then to serve its purpose and then transform from the idea you are now experiencing as starvation. Recognizing that way, that while you are, in that sense, aiding them, they, by creating a manifestation symbol in that way to allow you to aid them, are also allowing you to relieve your spiritual starvation.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yeah.
Then when each of you blend into the overall understanding that each is a valid path, a valid gift in that way of love, of sharing, then both will be allowed to serve their purposes and you will be able to blend within the idea of abundance spiritually and abundance materially for all concerned.
Oh, okay. I've got another question. Can you suggest anything I could do to improve my skin, like not get pimples?
Why?
Well, I think it looks better with it and feels better.
Feels better.
Yeah.
Must you in that way then create the condition of the physical symbol before you will choose to feel better? Or would you rather feel better first and allow it to automatically create the physical symbol that goes along with the effect of feeling better?
I guess I'd rather feel better first.
All right, go ahead. You may begin to feel better. You may feel better. You may simply understand there really is no better. You may simply feel exactly perfect. Because every moment of creation that you create is exactly a perfect moment of creation. No matter what idea, positive or negative, is being created, it is a perfect, flawless manifestation of that particular expression of your creative consciousness. Therefore, when you cease comparing conditions, when you cease comparing realities, you will simply understand that every reality is a perfect creation unto itself, and therefore you may then choose automatically between any other perfect creations that you wish. Allow yourself simply to realize that when you give yourself a situation in your life that you judge to be negative, allow yourself to know that that is the judgment itself. It is only the judgment itself, not the situation, the judgment of the situation, which sustains a negative effect.
Yeah.
Therefore, when you allow a situation, though it may seem to your judgment, perhaps, to be negative, when you simply come from your knowing self that this is also a part of my unfoldment, not an interruption, not a break in my momentum, but a part of the added momentum, then you can allow yourself to manifest the symbol for the purpose. You may allow yourself to clairvoyantly, that is, clear-seeingly, realize the purpose for the manifestation and in that way integrate it within yourself. Allow it to do its job and it will go on its way and not stick around.
Oh, okay.
There is no physical symbol that outlives its usefulness. As long as it exists, it is because you have not allowed it to be useful and valid for the ideas you are allowing yourself to explore within your consciousness. As soon as you allow an idea to be valid and serve its purpose, it will transform into something else, and it will transform into the positive effect that you know it is there to achieve. You follow me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bashar?
Oh, one moment. Are you through?
Well, no.
Go ahead.
I wanted to say that I thought you'd say something like that, but I was hoping you'd say something like eat carrots.
Oh, what? Why did you say eat carrots?
Well, vitamin A.
All right. Is that what you sense for yourself?
Well, I thought that might help a little, but I think that isn't really it,
All right. What do you not think but feel? Might be a symbol that will allow you acceptance of your belief system and allow you in that way to heal yourself.
I don't think I understand what you're asking.
What do you feel will be a physical symbol? Carrot is a physical symbol.
Yeah.
Understand, no carrot in the world cures you. You use the carrot as a physical symbol to cure yourself.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yeah. I don't think it's going to need a physical symbol.
All right,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, that's all.
then you may simply understand that you are already perfect.
Okay.
There is no idea nor concern of needing to reinforce the idea that you must try to become healthy. You follow me?
Yeah, I got you.
Thank you. Yes?
Bashar, personally, I have not found the truths that you manifested to be true to that great degree. I found that I can find value in things that have gone, that I have judged to be negative. I can, yes, convert them into valuable situations.
Yes.
But I have not found that situation then vanishes. I find that it returns automatically.
All right, but allow me to say in that way, then there is still a sense of separation from the idea itself. In that way, you may be, in that sense, beginning to recognize the idea of situations as symbols, yes. But you are still, in that way, allowing them to be a framework which is somehow still outside your life itself. Something which guides you as opposed to something which is you.
Mm-hmm.
Any time, in that way, you create the symbols for yourself to not be allowed to be you itself, then when you are going through the exploration of attempting to integrate your consciousness, that is in that way when you are attempting to form the idea consciously that the ideas in your life are you, then because you are working with that particular idea, those symbols will return and return and return until you allow them to actually be you and not remain as simply tools outside yourself.
Okay. I understand the principle. I am having difficulty with workability.
No, you are not.
No, that's your contradiction.
No, not a contradiction. We are simply in that way expressing that you have told us that you are creating the idea that you are having difficulty. And therefore, because you are creating the idea that you are having difficulty, you are having no difficulty in creating at all.
Having no difficulty creating that particular idea.
All right, but
that wasn't the purpose I was talking about.
All right, but understand, as we have said, that you are still expecting that idea to not fit in to the purpose you think you are trying to achieve.
That is not true. I have.
All right, but simply by definition, you are still saying, I am having difficulty with this concept, with this idea. Realize in that way that when you simply allow yourself to vibrate to the idea that you are unfolding perfectly, you will not give yourself the reflection or the sense that you are having difficulty with anything. The idea that you are having difficulty presupposes that you are judging what you think should be manifesting in your reality as opposed to what is manifesting in your reality, which is a product of what you believe about your reality.
True. All experience that I have had in being able to cause things results from a conscious causing from...
May I ask you a question?
By all means.
When you realize in that way that you are then the cause of actions in that way within your life, do you then assume that it is something which has a limited duration in time?
Not certain I have the question that you're asking.
In other words, many individuals, when they, for the moment of the creation, for the moment of the recognition of themselves as the idea, and as they perform that act of ultimate creation, of ultimate knowing, of ultimate being, then automatically will say, oh, well, that was very exciting. Now, let me look around to find something else. Understand that it is in that way the detachment point itself. When you then place the idea of needing to look for other such experiences, you are immediately creating a path from the experience you had to the next experience, which creates a separation between them. There is no need to look for that next experience. There is only the need, in a sense, the allowance to understand that as you create one of those experiences, you are in that very moment of time all that you are looking to be. And in that moment, you can simply identify that the feeling, in that sense, represents that you have that creative connection. And then if it changes in the very next moment, it is not that you have lost your momentum. It is not that you have to go seeking for something. It is simply that you have chosen to be physical, and as you give yourself that creative connection, then there is a purpose for the immediate, in a time frame sense, cessation of that immediate sensation of the now moment, so that you can in that way integrate it within the physicality with regard to the, I'll say, overall agreement you have made with the mass consciousness, in that you must absorb and then reflect that idea to many other individuals as well. Otherwise, if you simply were going to be that one primary idea and only continue to exist as that one self-creating idea, there is then in many ways no need to be physical, and you would simply not be. Since you are physical in that way, then you give yourself the opportunity to reflect in those times in between the moments of revelation to yourself to other individuals what it is you have revealed to yourself. It is not downtime. You follow me?
I agree.
There is no need to sustain one particular feeling. It serves the purpose of your choice of being in touch with all of these other consciousnesses, to have the time in between those moments in order to share the experience through the methodology that you have chosen to be valid within your physical medium. That is, talking about it, feeling it, expressing it, so on and so on.
Understood. There is an apparency of a pattern in which it is effortless in the civilization to fail. And you can just sit there, do nothing, and fail, and not as easy to sustain success, happiness,
all right.
These sorts of things.
But understand simply that is an old habit of an old tool which you are now unlearning.
I do understand that I am unlearning.
All right, do not be impatient. You are unlearning in exactly the right amount of time for what it is everyone is choosing to learn.
Say that again.
You are unlearning it in exactly the right amount of time for the timing of everyone who is involved in the unlearning and relearning.
How do I become certain of that when I don't really believe it?
There is no way you can become certain of it if you do not really believe it.
Right.
Therefore, that is your choice. It is your choice to make the idea of being able to believe it not difficult.
That I understand. I have done many of these things. I've had some fabulous experiences.
Yes, you always do. And you always will. Simply allow the moments in between those fabulous experiences to also be fabulous experiences. Do not put judgment on them as to how they should feel or be. Simply live them.
Fabulous ones are no problem.
You are still making a separation. You are still saying that there is something that is not fabulous.
That is true. And I've been over this and over this and over this, and I'm seeking more looking at it. You know, the objective is definitely to achieve the things that you're speaking of. And I know you're going to say, achieve puts it out there. But I'm still working with it.
All right, but understand that is all right. That is your path.
Mm-hmm.
When you allow it to be your path, it will shorten.
Okay. Okay, good. That's helpful. One more question.
We are
How
waiting.
do I achieve something that I believe or have a feeling of knowing this is not going to happen, and yet I want it to happen?
Wanting will not get you anything.
I know it won't. That's why I'm asking you. How do we go about this? I have situations which I would love to materialize, and I find...
May I ask you a question?
By all means.
Are there ideas in your life that you call physical habits that you have chosen to have from time to time?
Yes.
All right. How did you go about giving yourself that habit?
Practice.
Thank you. Then you may practice other habits, which have to do with the idea of knowing that these new habits will, sooner or later, get you into the habit of believing.
Yeah. I have a habit of looking for some easy way.
That is the easy way.
Gotcha.
Believing is seeing.
Good.
You follow me?
Yep, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question. Oh, hey.
Last night I was exploring the idea of channeling, just looking at the phenomena of that with serious energy. And then I was exploring the idea of telepathy. And after I did this, I was just sitting very quietly, and suddenly a whole bunch of things occurred regarding one particular location, which I found really fascinating, Bashar. It was a health food store on 3rd Street that I have shopped at in the past numerous times and probably will again. And it was just like instead of trying to hold it in place and figure out what was happening at the time, I just allowed it to flow. It was all these various different views of the place, times I was there, feelings I had, things I bought, like just a whole sequence of views and events concerning that one location. And that hasn't occurred to me before in this lifetime in that way. I found that really interesting. Can you tell me anything about it?
Can you?
I just did. I mean,
Then what is there for me to tell you? If you have told me everything.
well, maybe I have to tell you everything.
Oh, yes, you have. There is really nothing mysterious about the idea. Again, understand simply that there is no need in that way to question every little step within the entire idea of the blending of your consciousness. You are already familiar with the idea of seeing in that way from many different perspectives, many alternate selves, many different time tracks, many different probable realities. You follow me? You understand the concept. Why then should it be a surprise when you begin to experience the concept?
Well, okay, it was a little bit surprising, but what I was looking for was, like, what the phenomenon was. Like, was it like an old mechanism that I had that I suddenly, integrated, or, that's basically.
All right. Now, realize we are saying nothing wrong with that. But again, simply because you continue in that way to ask us, we will always then remind you that there is no need to label the mechanism to have the experience. Life. Experiencing life. Whatever it in that way gives you. In other words, whatever you create it to give you. Life is the only process, the only mechanism you need to continue to experience, to give yourself the opportunity to experience more of it. You do not need to label or specify mechanisms in that way to enable you the idea that then somehow you will be able to be more integrated with it. By the very fact that you had the experience, that in and of itself is the integration, and you can simply go on. Now, again, it is your valid tool to create the labeling, to create the idea of the identification of the mechanism. That is all well and good. But simply, again, that is your path. That is your choice. That is very creative. But always again, since you are now in that level of consciousness where you wishes to reflect this idea to you, we are then allowed by you to share with you the idea that the labeling is not necessary for the continuance of the experiencing.
Yeah, I understand that. Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate that. I really do get that was exactly what I wanted to do from you.
Thank you. Question.
Yes. A being who calls herself Enid channels with a friend of mine, channels through a friend of mine, and she says that the concept of chance is a valid one, and I'm wondering if you would comment on what chance is.
All concepts are valid as you create them to be tools in that way. Chance will simply be the representation in physical terms of the idea that you have imposed limitations upon your conscious viewpoint, and in that way there will be the opportunity to surprise yourself. You follow me?
Yes.
Then that will be one of the very valid mechanisms of learning about the self. Therefore, you have introduced the very valid reality of chance by limiting your connection to the higher consciousness.
I see, but at that higher consciousness level, you are in fact creating every single
Yes.
minute detail.
Yes.
Does this also include somebody else creating the detail and just going into agreement with them in terms of that detail and kind of letting them be the creator with you in agreement?
All right, in a sense, but understand that everything you agree to experience, you have to create for yourself.
Ah, okay.
Therefore, you are always automatically the creator as well.
Is it as active
That is up to you.
What I mean to say, when you say by agreeing you are also essentially the creator, is that creation in...
It is the same.
It's the same. It's just as active as...
Yes.
Uh-huh.
You are your own universe.
Yeah.
They are their own universe. Any creations they project in their universe that you decide to share and project within your own is the same quality projection.
Yes, and you have to take as active a part in creating it for yourself as you would if they didn't have the idea either, right?
Yes.
Okay. Since we don't have, since in actuality there is where we create the past and future from the present, and what we view as past lives and any influence from, let me say, quote, influence, unquote.
Yes, we understand.
All right, is actually a leaking from one consciousness to our current consciousness here, right? Kind of a leaking across and kind of a...
Only in a sense, that is still in itself a symbolic idea, leaking.
Okay.
It is in that way simply a choice made by some level of your consciousness to feel that certain aspects of the here and now present you are then being determined by those aspects of the past you which you are projecting to that point.
But see, recognizing that that past you isn't in fact past, that it's actually occurring right now.
Yes.
It's like, in a present time sense, whatever's happening in that other, quote, time frame, which we view as another life, is actually in present time,
yes,
influencing this present.
In a sense, therefore, understand it is not leaking. It is simply choosing many other alternatives in the present. Because there is no leaking when it is all contained within one vessel.
Yes, I only use leaking as figurative.
Yes, but it implied the idea that it was having to go across time in that sense, or that there was a separation between that idea and the idea it is leaking into.
Okay, yes, I was separating the consciousnesses, since I have a present outer consciousness
yes,
right now.
In that way, then, yes, it is a valid viewpoint to say it is, in a sense, leaking.
Oh, good. Thank you.
One moment. Are you familiar with certain concepts in the idea of what you term to be physics?
Yes.
Do you understand in that way, many times, it is now said by your own scientists, that the idea of attraction between different subatomic particles is now considered in that way not so much to be the idea of a force, but an exchange of other particles.
Gluons?
In a sense, you follow me?
Yes.
Then you can view in much the same way this idea of leaking as more the exchange of consciousness, which then binds the ideas together.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes?
I'm curious about expecting.
All right.
Okay. Expectancy, is that something that we use to... Well, let me give an example.
All right. Thank you.
I've noticed that if I'm consciously expecting something, even though I'm putting this object, thing, idea, whatever, if I'm putting it there, when what I'm looking for arrives, it usually arrives at some point when I'm not conscious of it being there.
When you are not expecting it.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And I'm finding, and I've played with this thing a long time, and I've wondered, almost 99% of the time, well, 100% of the time, as far as I can recall, it's always happened if my mind goes away from it for a split second.
Yes. That is because then you are allowing it through. Expectancy is what keeps it away. But understand also that it is not really in that way keeping it away when you are creating within your timing that one moment where it does shut down, look the other way, so it can manifest. So in that sense, you may simply say your expectancy is simply filling in the time, tapping its foot between the initial knowing of the creation of the incident and the physicalized manifestation of that same creation.
Well, if one is actually in the process of making things happen for him, those around him, his environment, whatever. Consciously. And I know that I have really made this decision. I could go on.
You can do anything you wish.
Okay, and I'm going to know that that's going to happen.
You are also going to know that whatever you do from that point forward will then integrate somehow into the manifestation.
Okay. So there is the judgment, okay.
Yes.
So if the judgment comes in between that,
yes.
It
is what creates an in-between. Follow me.
I follow you. What do you do to handle that?
I know.
You know, it's that point of frustration when you know that you...
All right, but understand that the frustration is also only created as a side effect of the judgment. If you simply allow yourself to know that this is something that does synchronize with the vibration that is you, and simply go on about your business of living, and then still continue to know that whatever it is you are getting on about in your life will also blend in with the idea that is going to manifest, then you will not need to judge, and you will not be frustrated, because you will be too busy enjoying your life.
Which leads me to this question. Do I irritate you?
Never.
Okay. Just curious.
There is no such thing as idle curiosity. Understand in that way that your question to me is a reflection to how you are irritating yourself.
Okay. Yeah.
Therefore, simply,
very real.
all right, but simply in that way, realize that the only irritation you are giving yourself is that you are creating the idea of irritation.
Okay, which makes it even more irritating.
No. Understand, it makes it a choice.
Okay.
And if it makes it a choice, then you can very consciously choose something else if you do not like the irritation. You see, responsibility, having total responsibility for everything that you create, is freedom. Because in that way, you are then recognizing the idea of responsibility as choice, not blame.
Okay, I see what you're saying underneath it. I've understood what you've been saying for weeks to me.
All right.
Okay,
your own timing is your own valid timing.
Okay, and I pick up an extension each week of the question or a conversation or whatever that...
All right.
Okay.
You are creating those ideas for yourself within a certain time frame.
Okay.
Which you are very generously allowing us to reflect to you. You are doing all the creation. How does that feel?
It feels fine as long as I'm making some progress.
You always are creating. Always are creating. Progress is another judgment. You will always simply be different, not better. You are always the best manifestation of whatever it is you happen to be creating at the moment. Progress is a judgment. You follow me? When you drop the idea of progress, then you can enjoy every moment that you create as valid, and you will take time to enjoy them, not feeling that you have to quickly leave it and rush on to something which you know must be better out there somewhere.
It's interesting because it's getting to the point that the more I understand, it's like the less I want to communicate.
Very good.
Because my communications are basically all judgmental.
All right, now, not necessarily, but understand in that way that what you are expressing is simply that when you know, there is no need to talk about it.
But when you
simply
talk to
do
another
it.
being, when you talk to another person, for instance.
Yes, you can be sharing. That is all right.
Okay.
But simply we are saying that what you are expressing as a feeling, this idea of what I just don't feel like talking about it, is simply an expression of the idea that you are beginning to realize that when you know something, you can simply be it, live it. No need to jabber at yourself to convince yourself that you are in fact this idea.
And
You
how can
simply
you help
do it.
the other person on that level?
You cannot help anyone. They choose to share your reality or not. You may share your ideas. You may offer in that way a reflection of what you have created for yourself. That is how you can help in the best way, by simply being the best you, so that they will then, if they are looking around for an example of that particular idea, find you. If you are not being the best you, they have nothing to find if they are looking for you. You follow me?
I think so.
Then you help other individuals by simply being. All right. By granting yourself the validity to be an equally valid path within all that is.
Thank you for giving that up. I wanted that. Okay, that's...
Thank you for creating it. So that we might share.
Okay.
Now, may I say, we enjoy you very much. We enjoy all of you very much. Recognize that to us, your willingness, your allowance to share your consciousness with us is for us a gift of unconditional love from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question?
When you talk about...
One moment. Guys.
Hello, Chuck. May I say, it's quite enjoyable to be here in your presence. Every question that I've had that I was working on this afternoon has been answered before.
All right. May I suggest in that way that we also enjoy being in your presence, but recognize in that way that the answers were created from allowing yourself to be within your own presence, totally.
Yeah. I understand that.
Thank you.
I have some comments.
All right.
That happened the other day while driving.
All right.
Okay, they were doing some more etheric surgery.
Yes.
Okay, and about 20 minutes or half an hour into the progress of this, I was pulled over by a cop. And I told them that if they're going to perform any more surgery, while it be discreet on the timing of it, like if I'm driving, please be consciously aware of things going around me so I don't get in trouble.
All right. Now, what type of experience did you have with that individual?
Oh, it's great.
Then understand that it may have been part of the overall unfoldment. Understand in that way it was an opportunity for you to then immediately make use of what changes had been made. To experience them as positive feedback in the physical world.
Maybe.
You follow me?
Yeah.
That was one idea behind that timing. Now, in a sense, recognize in that way that to them, they know you're not going to really be, as you say, in trouble. But it was, in a sense, a light-hearted joke. You follow me?
Yeah, okay.
It gave you the opportunity to bring yourself after, in that way, the alterations, to full access, full alert. It was, in that sense, then, shock treatment to bring you back to a certain level.
Okay.
You follow me? The rapid reintroduction into your society.
Okay. But, let's see, now that I've been on exercising and kind of a strict diet. And
Strict?
Yeah, strict.
Do you mean in that way simply what you feel to be essential to you?
Yeah.
All right.
I have been becoming more and more together, so to speak.
Very good choice.
when I'm together, it's, everything works. There is nothing lacking.
That is the idea.
So now, when I meditate at night, before I go to sleep, when I wake up again, I found I've been astral traveling for a very, very, very long time, and it's almost morning, and I haven't even put the sleep tape on. So, do I need the sleep tape anymore?
What do you think?
No.
Thank you. Enjoy your explorations. Enjoy the continuation in that way. Also recognize that there will come a level within, in that sense, the alterations, where there will be the aspect of your quote-unquote togetherness, which will then allow you more conscious communication with those individuals as well.
I see that. This is getting fun.
Very good. Then it will move that much more rapidly.
The more and more I learn, the more questions. But now I'm finding the answers faster.
Yes.
So I don't.
You are becoming automatic. Consciously automatic.
So I really don't need to ask the question.
Thank you. Will you then, in that way, share something with me for a moment?
Sure.
Will you briefly, simply and boldly, physically, touch the outstretched hand of the physical channel before you?
Sure.
We will thank you.
Oh, that was interesting.
Sleep on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes?
A question about reflection. If I'm talking to someone about, anything about myself, and they are not open to those ideas, it would seem to me that I would not be reflecting a portion of that person's self to them. Would that be true?
Understand simply that there may be many ideas that you may observe in that way. Does not mean you exactly contain the effect or manifestation of what you are observing, nor vice versa. But it will be an opportunity to recognize that idea within yourself in whatever way you have allowed it to be integrated. You follow me?
Not totally. I'm thinking about the other person. Let's say, like, talking to my mother about channel. I'm not sure exactly if she would be believe it or be interested in it. And if I'm talking to her about it, it's my understanding that I'm reflecting something. I'm reflecting something about herself.
Yes, as long as you are not, in a sense, forcing the conversation.
In other words, you're saying if it sort of flows easily.
Yes.
If it doesn't flow easily, then I am forcing it.
There is no need to push anything.
So if it flows easily, then it is a reflection on some level for her.
Yes, understand it may be a reflection if you force it as well. But simply for you, you do not need to become caught in that symbol. You follow me?
I don't need to be caught, in the simple force.
Yes.
Okay, and just one other thing. I've been, dreaming a lot more and becoming aware of other realities, all kinds of things. I'm wondering if there's any way to become even more conscious in my dreams that I am.
All right, first of all, understand you have not been dreaming anymore. You have become aware of what you have been dreaming. You follow me?
I've become aware.
You are always dreaming the same amount. You are always dreaming.
Oh, okay.
You have simply become more aware of what you have been dreaming. Therefore, simply, the first step, if I were to define a step, in being more aware is to simply recognize that you are always dreaming. You are dreaming right now. You can tap into it anytime you wish. Mm-hmm. Then there can be the blending between your dream and physical reality. No separation. You can live your dream. Many times, understand in that way that what you represent to yourself by the memory of a dream is not the experience itself, but only the physical, mental manifestation, given symbols, in a sense, that you create for yourself through the outer aware consciousness, so you can make some sense out of what you experience in terms of a physical viewpoint of that experience. Simply recognizing that way that many times when individuals allow their dream reality and physical reality to become one reality, they recognize that they are always dreaming, and in that sense, since they are always dreaming, they are experiencing their dreams, and there may not be any reason to remember anything, because you never wake up, in a sense. You follow me?
Yeah.
You never form the separation of waking up into a physical universe, and therefore there is no need to create a memory of something which you consciously know you are continuing to experience.
Wait, are you saying when that person is dreaming, they know they're dreaming in that particular situation, or they know they're...
You can know that you are dreaming right now.
I'm aware of that.
You can become consciously interactive with it. And if you allow yourself to do so, that will be how you will be more aware of your dream reality. But understand that that connection may not give you more dreams to remember. Because you will then continue to dream and not wake up to remember them. You follow me?
Wait, I lost you somewhere. I will continue to...
You have asked in that way, how can I be, I'll say, more aware of my dreams? But understand that the idea of the connections forming within your dream state is for the purpose of living your dreams. As you live your dreams, then the idea of waking up from a dream reality into a physical reality becomes less and less defined. And as you continue to live the dream, then you do not need to form the symbolic manifestation of having a dream to remember. You simply continue to live the dream.
I understand that, okay. So it's all one
Yes.
reality, or one consciousness.
Yes.
What I was referring to is like, in my so-called, dream, as I'm labeling it,
Yes.
when I actually physically fall asleep, sometimes when I have been dreaming, I know that I am dreaming
Yes.
in the dream, okay?
That is the experiencing in the idea you call real time of the dream reality. And in many times it is analogous to the idea you call astral projection. Mm-hmm. You follow me?
Yeah. But what I'm asking is how to increase that awareness of dreaming in the dream and knowing I'm doing that.
Why should you need to increase what is unfolding in perfect timing?
Well, I don't really need to. I understand that. I was just wondering.
Then understand, if it serves the purpose to feel, if it serves your chosen purpose to feel that there is an increase in this idea, you will have it.
Okay.
But simply understand that the basic idea is that you are blending your physical and dream reality. And as such, the increase can come from simply allowing yourself to live the dream consciously all the time. Now, what could be more of an increase than all the time? You follow me?
Yeah, well, I was listening to a tape you had, and it really hit me last night of, you said when we're dreaming, that's fourth density.
Yes.
It just really blew me away because...
Where did you go?
Well, I think I went there for a short while.
Very good.
And it was great. It just gave me a real awareness of
All right.
fourth density.
Now, in a very literal way, your own, as you say, idiomatic phraseology of blew me away, in that way, is very much a representation of the idea that when you are blown away, you are experiencing, yes, a connection of a revelatory nature to yourself, and as such you are momentarily projecting yourself to fourth density to make the connection. Yes. Thank you. There will be in your terms of time a few more minutes before your break. Question?
I have a question.
All right.
I've been researching the city of Atlantis, and there's some things that I'm just really not clear on.
Was an entire landmass not so much restricted to the idea you call city? Was, more in your terms, continent.
Okay, then it would be the city of Poseidon or
All
whatever.
right.
Well, I need some clarification on the different factions, as we might say today, between the elders, the children of the knowledge of one, the children of the law of one, and the sons of Belial.
Why?
Why what?
Why do you need this clarification?
I'm researching for an art form, screenplay.
Do you feel, in that way, that you, with your own intuitiveness, cannot draw upon your own experiences at that time?
Well, I already have, but I just need some clear delineation between separate sects.
What would you say if rather than ideas of clear delineation first, you simply allow yourself to go through the experience, however distasteful you may judge it to be, of reliving things that you went through then, in order to then come out of the experience with a clear delineation?
Because well, I know that I want to be exact, and that I will be exact.
Oh, you will be. Believe me, if you live through it, you will be exact. You will tell it like no one has ever told it.
The reason I'm confused is because of the research I've been doing. There's been different opinions. Such as well, the different. There's also the part of the Ottomans, or the things, or lower incarnate souls that were used for laborers.
Yes. What about them?
Well, I'd also like to know what the exact relation that they were to the, to the elders and to the children of the Law of One.
In relation, it was the recognition in that way to them of spirit, which chose to project in that way itself into the experience of multi-level systems of sociology. In other words, for the experience in that way of acting as a reflection to those who had created the idea that they in that way were then better than others. They chose to be of service in that way and to allow themselves that which you would call the suffering of that low position, to allow then those individuals who had created the idea that there should be something subservient to reflect back to those individuals that then there was still many connections within consciousness that could be made, and to touch upon another creation of separation, guilt, in having made the creations to begin with.
Are those beings deformed in a physical deformity that's different from...
As you would understand the idea of your normal, quote-unquote, normal physiology, yes. They were in many ways a representation of the idea you would call animal characteristics, mixed with humaniform.
Like Neanderthal man and things that...
To some degree, although much in a variation of that idea. More would be the idea as you express it in the quote-unquote, discovery of what you now term to be modern genetic engineering. There was then the creation physically, in that sense, of beings that manifested attributes that you would now only attribute to animal form.
Like pointed ears? Or...
In a sense.
Like Greek mythology points.
Yes.
Yes. Who were the ruling...
Tails.
Yeah.
was there a ruling...
mermaids.
Oh, right.
Was there a ruling faction within that continent between... So there was a spiritual form of people, and there was a faction that I take it as being the materialistic individuals that sought pleasure.
As you have defined them already in that way, as you have said in your terminology, sons of Belial.
Well, who called the shots? I mean, did someone make the decisions, or was it just the individual?
There was a council of what you term to be the elders in that way, on the positive side. There was more within the idea you term the Senate then. Some dissenters and some controlling factions. There were many different political variations of the idea, even as in your present recreation of your society you call United States of America, which in many ways is an exact replication of Atlantis again. Understand, therefore, that within many of the different ideas of administrative levels there are positive and negative in that way. So there was, in a sense, a sharing of both. There was, to some degree, a greater positive in the, what you term the upper echelons, but there was enough dissent and enough dissenters to split, in that way, many of the factions and create the idea of war among themselves. Civil war.
Was the Senate composed of after the first destruction or prior to that?
Prior.
So shortly after the initial incarnate beings entered the planet?
No, not really. Understand, there are many, many hundreds of thousands of years, tens of millions of years, from incarnate beingness upon your planet to the idea of the creation of Atlantis.
So where did the first Atlanteans come from? I mean, did they
Lemuria.
So it was actually an evolution of a human being that came to that point?
In a sense, yes.
And they migrated?
Yes. In the same way that you have formed what you consider to be a colony of your own United States of America. Atlantis was a colony of Lemuria.
And
which achieved, as again your own United States has paralleled, high technological advancement in excess of its original parent country.
So then Lemuria was first, and then Atlanteans.
Yes.
It was like the Revolutionary War almost.
In a sense.
Also, where does the concept of Adam and Eve, if there was an Eve or whatever, come in as far as...
It will simply be allegorical to the idea of the injection, in a sense, projection of non-physical spirit into physicality at all. It is simply symbolic in that way.
Prior to Lemuria.
In a sense, yes. You follow me?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. You may take short break. Oh, what a lovely say! Question.
What's the fourth dimension?
Many ideas. Understand that there will be a definition in that way, that primarily it will represent that level of vibrational existence wherein you can be consciously and actively aware of the fact that your reality is created by you. Now, there is physical fourth dimensionality, fourth density experience, and non-physical. In that sense, you may then simply understand that non-physical fourth dimensionality will represent the idea you call, to a great degree, the dream state and the afterlife state. Physical fourth dimensionality, fourth density vibration will be still, in a sense, a physical reality, as is the third in which you are now, but will be more consciously recognized as being controllable in that sense, malleable in that sense, formable in that sense, and, I'll say, consciously coincidental with all the other consciousnesses sharing that reality with you. There will be the opportunity physically, in fourth density, to perceive yourself as lighter, literally, brighter, in a sense, in other words. You will see the reality round about you to be more positively active. You will understand in that way the entire relationship and course and continuity of any idea. You will have opportunity to experience directly then the idea of being the cause and the effect in the same event. Will this have answered your question?
Yeah, but I got one more.
All right.
Is there then like a two-dimension, like a second dimension or something?
Yes, in a sense. It will be represented symbolically, second density level, in that way, as you understand it, by what you turn to be animal consciousness. And also in that way, many times, what you turn to be, energy-wise, matrix-wise, geometric, the idea in that sense of two-dimensionality without a third. Understand in that way, it is simply an expression of the planar existence of consciousness in such a way that it forms a foundation or basis for the rise or expression of third density level from it.
Okay.
I have a question.
All right.
Do some animals exist on a third density basis?
All animal consciousness, in some way, shape, or form, transcends all densities.
Okay.
The idea you experience as animal consciousness, for the most part, is third. But they will be always the guides symbolically for what you are in a mass conscious sense and in an individual conscious sense experiencing. Therefore, they are in some way, shape, or form forming bridges from third to fourth density right now.
Okay. I have another question.
Yes.
I know that at least some of the people, if not all of them in this room, feel that they have a personal relationship with you of some sort. I personally like you and enjoy you very much, and I feel like I have a personal relationship. Acknowledging that you are just one being for each of us, whereas we are many beings for you, I'm wondering, do you feel that you have a personal relationship with each of the beings in this room? I know that you recognize us by our signature vibrations.
Always within the willingness of any individual to share the vibration of my beingness, that becomes instantaneously a personal relationship.
Mm-hmm. So, like, I know that after a channeling, I will go home and I'll think about things you said or jokes you've cracked or whatever like that and just enjoy it. I'm wondering if you have that kind of a consciousness of our beingness in other times.
We do not so much feel in many ways that we are ever completely, though we recognize the difference in the form of communication, but we do not so much feel that we are ever completely out of touch with you, literally. Because there are many, many different levels to your consciousness which do continue conversation in a sense after, in this way, we break this form.
Even on an individual basis?
Yes.
Terrific.
Question?
I have a question.
All right.
First, I have two. The first one is to further take this on further. Is it then? I'm feeling this most of the time now of like I'm getting answers, questions answered through. I feel it is through your people. So evidently, they answer that question.
Only in a sense. It is through your representational creation of the same vibrational energy. You are, for the most part, answering them yourself.
Right. It's like a...
You are using our vibrational energy and our representation as a tool for yourself.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. I wanted to share something with you and explore a little bit, and that is, every night when I go to bed, I look out of my window, and there's this tremendously bright star. The moment I look all around the sky, I don't see another star. I see this, and it's there all night. And it seems like it's either an optical illusion, or to me it sometimes moves to quite a degree, fast back again.
It will be, to a great degree, as you describe it, in a sense, an optical illusion.
And is this which star am I seeing? Do you
Sirius.
It is Sirius. Okay, that is what I thought it was, but I wasn't certain. Thank you, Christine.
Understand also in that way that, as you have said, when you utilize the idea of another recognizable vibration as a tool for you to work through, because we are willing in that way to be conscious of that vibration wherever it is being created, then you can also to some degree say that we are conscious, and in that way also of assistance in simply joining into the experience of your creation of the similar vibration, through which you then give yourself your own answers. For us, then, it is also an enjoyable experience. Thank you.
I would like to ask one question. I have, in the past, written many, many songs, a lot of children's songs, which have been validated over time. Okay, I don't feel that they are quite I feel like I have a co-worker someplace working with me on all these. And all of a sudden I don't feel like I am too close to this being anymore, and I would like to recontact.
Why?
Because more opportunities to
more?
To expand on
What makes you think so?
What makes me think so much?
The idea that there will be more opportunity to create these songs if you re-establish contact in that way as you have created it. Understand simply that many times, again, as we have said, the idea you call interim is not interim, and contains its own richness in that way that will allow you more of the formation of the idea of your particular part in the creation of those songs. Then, if there is then the idea of the acceptance and allowance within yourself of your own strength, your own part, your own creative endeavors within the creation of those songs, then there may be opportunity to rejoin in that way. But it will simply be a reinforcement of the idea that you enter any relationship already whole and not in need of the other side of the relationship to feel complete. You follow me?
I follow you. I don't think that I was... Maybe I didn't see the time. I feel... Okay, if the part I feel it's still a part of me.
Does not matter what it is. The idea is that if you feel you are, quote unquote, on your own for the time being, that is what you need to allow to be. Yes. Then you will enjoy the aloneness, and you will enjoy the creativity you can find within yourself, within that aloneness, and then there will be the opportunity to re-enter the co-creation, being a complete aloneness to begin with. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
Then that also will have to do with the style, which will then adapt to a new expression with regard to the changes that are taking place within the mass consciousness as they will then begin to perceive those songs.
Yes, that's what I was perceiving here. Thank you.
Question?
Bashar,
Yes?
may I touch the channel you're using?
Why?
I'd like to experience that.
Why?
I don't have a judgment. I just like to experience it.
Experience it in your imagination for the moment. How do you feel?
Good. It still feels like something is lacking.
All right. Then, when something is not lacking, perhaps the physicality will be manifest.
Okay.
You follow me? Understand in this way also, it will simply be, again, not for the purpose of what you term to be, relegating any more importance to that exchange as it took place between ourselves and that individual. It will simply have been according to the timing involved. Each individual has their own timing, their own manifestation in physical symbology of connections in that way. And at this time, simply realize that it is an opportunity for you to reflect back to yourself how this situation can be viewed as you feel that, in that way, unless such and such were to occur in a certain physical manner, something would be lacking. This is then your opportunity to integrate that idea within yourself, so that you will create for yourself, to begin with, the idea that nothing is lacking. This, on an overall sense, will also then be the manifestation which is, I'll say, a part of the vibration that will allow us to interact with you on a physical, face-to-face level. When you do not feel that anything is lacking because a face-to-face interval is not happening. You follow me? Mm-hmm. How do you feel?
Feel like something's lacking.
Why?
I don't have a why that I have yet to. I don't know. I don't know.
What does it feel like to have something lacking?
It feels like it's okay because I know it's a process.
All right, very good.
It's against my judgment is that this time is in the way. I just want to get to
Time is never in the way.
or I'm putting it there.
Not necessarily. Understand again. All right. Let us take this. Allow your imagination for a moment to tell me, what do you imagine would occur were you to touch the physical channel? Go ahead, play, pretend. What do you imagine would occur if you were then, in a sense, in touch physically with the channel?
Well, I expected some sort of mental as well as physical sensation.
Why?
It's the best I can give you right now.
Do you realize that if you know you would experience mental and physical sensations, that you would still be creating them for yourself?
I do now, which you've mentioned it.
Thank you. Then we have touched. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question.
Sure.
Yes?
How do we cause things to persist in physical dimensionality?
By separation. By focus, by judgment, by analyzation. By feeling that you have to make something happen instead of allowing creation to happen.
So, is it necessary to alter something in order to cause it to persist in this universe?
Only yourself. Understand that when you are willing to be active in what excites you, you will then not experience the time between revelations. Become imaginatively active in what excites you. If there are no parameters, invent them. You follow me?
Yes.
Begin your own idea from the beginning. If you feel that something is viable for you and valid as an undertaking in your world, as something you would wish to experience and express and create, as a quote-unquote living, by all means, if it does not exist, create it.
Good.
Therefore, you will not feel you have to wait around for someone else to come up with some way to achieve it. You will not feel you have to search for methods which already may exist, by which you may attain it. You will be being it by creating your very own methodology. You will be being it by creating the foundation for the idea itself. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
You will be giving birth to a new you.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Question?
Yes.
Yes?
Are you familiar with the phrase Klaatu Barada Nikto?
We understand the source.
Okay, my understanding is that it came out of a 1950s science fiction film. Is that a source that you also recognize as a source for this phrase?
In a sense, though there was to some degree the connection within what you term to be the author to the idea identity, that there was a vibration to which they were connecting. You follow me?
Yes, in other words, he wasn't just making it out of thin air.
In a sense, it was both. It was an identification, and then the author's very own willing creation of their representation of that vibration.
Sort of like he channeled it.
In a sense.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was the intent, not so much the literal terminology. Only the literal terminology is what represented to the author the feeling of the intent.
Got it.
You follow me?
Yes, I do. I have one more question. Based on discussion last week, I decided I'd like to get myself a crystal. And I knew I didn't have to worry about the mechanics of finding it because it would just kind of come to me. And lo and behold, Monday I was in Disneyland, and there was this little stand of guys selling crystals in it. I knew instantly it was opportunity slapping me in the face, so to speak.
Slapping you in the face?
Yeah. Well, I knew that this was the opportunity that had come to me.
All right, we understand the terminology.
No. But selecting the crystal was not as immediately, I don't know the term to use, but I didn't have an immediate attraction to one crystal.
But you did to the idea of how it was presented to you. You follow me?
It meaning the crystal that I bought, or the opportunity?
The opportunity.
Well, the opportunity I understood.
All right. Why is that not also a crystal?
The opportunity is a crystal, you're saying?
Yes.
I'll accept that.
Go ahead.
What I'm saying, though, is that in selecting an individual crystal to purchase, it was not immediately which one.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so, but I decided, well, what the heck, whatever I bought, it would be perfect anyway.
Very good. That is what we are saying. It is the opportunity which provides the automatic understanding, not the specificity of the symbols involved.
Yeah, so I just kind of decided on one, got it. It has many, many facets, and it's kind of round. And now my question is, now what do I do with it?
Whatever you wish. Use your imagination.
What are they
You have now bought... All right. We will use our imagination as well. You have now bought a new lens for your projector. The projector is your imagination machine. Fit that crystal in your imagination into the lens of that imagination machine. See what you get projecting through it on your imaginary screen. Then perhaps you will see all the different things you can do with it. Possibilities within you. You will have already done one. You follow me?
I will have done one.
By putting it in the machine,
Yeah.
you will have already done one thing with that crystal.
Certainly.
You will have allowed yourself to be in touch with the symbol of your imagination in that way and opened up an avenue for viewing all possibilities within you.
Is that what a crystal basically is?
Yes.
In the words of the imagination.
Yes. It is a symbol of the vibration of reality itself, of existence, in a sense, of the idea of the differentiation and diversification of all the different viewpoints within the energy matrix of creation, of existence, as each and every one of you are a facet of all that is. You follow me?
Yes. I was aware that the many-facetedness of this particular crystal was, in certain ways, representative of me. I mean, it's just annoying to say.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
So then, in other words, it's not necessary to have a physical crystal form. We can go beyond that and,
Yes. Thank you.
And is there any relation with that with the etheric crystals?
In a sense, yes.
Would you care to elaborate on that at all, or?
Later, thank you.
Bashar, then did I create the crystal that I have as an opportunity to amuse myself till I came to my timing for when
Do not devalue a symbol as you create it.
Well, no.
All right.
Amusing yourself.
But your tone of voice was, just to amuse me while I was really waiting for the important thing? To keep me occupied? All right. Amusement, yes. Enjoyment, yes. Very valid. Understand in that way also that it is the active representation of your creative ability. You follow me?
No.
You have created the opportunity to come into contact with that symbol of your willingness to connect to more of yourself. Therefore, that crystal in and of itself is a part of the creation.
I see.
Are you through?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
It seems like a tremendous amount of people on stage here have this symbol and have this love for ET. And I wonder, what is this thing? I know I have it. Somebody asked me, well, why do you actually just feel great about this little being story from another planet? What is it that's so fantastic? I can't quite put my finger on it. It's just, every time I think about it, I feel great. And I'm wondering,
How can you be so in the dark about that idea when you already have expressed many times the idea of the excitement and joy of finding within yourself connections to other levels of your consciousness and the ability to express them?
oh, of course. Thank you. I don't know how I could have been so much into it.
It is represented. Now, understand that is not a judgment, and do not judge yourself, and do not judge your judgment. Understand in that way that you are simply representing the idea at this time in what you turn to be. As with us, extraterrestrial terms, because that will now be the level of willingness to represent the idea of expansion of your consciousness. As you then begin to realize you are expanding into space, you will also be expanding within. And realizing in that way that as a symbol of your own connection, in the sense to other civilizations, including other civilizations which are you, you will then come to realize that it's simply the idea, symbol, as it has been manifested within your society at this time. Recognizing that way, that to a degree, in a very literal way, well, none of you are really original to this planet. You follow me?
Yes.
And the idea, in that way, is discovering that no matter where you are, is home. You follow me?
Yes.
Thank you. Question?
Bashar,
Yes?
is there a need to pursue understanding?
If you create within your understanding a need to do so.
I'm not sure of that. I know
Needs are created. Needs are created.
Okay.
They are, again, perhaps, tools.
Should we pursue
Never should. We will never in that way say should. You follow me? That would be a recommendation for your life from us, which we will not do. In that sense, there are no shoulds, should nots. You follow me?
Yeah, well, I guess what I need to know is, I often hear you say understand, and then you complete the statement.
All right. Allow me to suggest that many times there will be, within the terminology of your vernacular that must be used, then some, what may be termed discrepancies from time to time. Understand in that way, simply that all we are saying is that it is an opportunity for you to view that portion of yourself that is being discussed.
But isn't viewing something a pursuit of understanding?
In a sense, but recognize that simply the idea of needing to pursue understanding is an old habit. You are now beginning to understand that you are understanding.
Okay. So the more one
Knows.
understanding.
The more one knows that one already understands, the less one will need to pursue that which he or she already knows he or she has. That is why we say, understand, because we understand that you already do understand.
Which then, can it be safe to conclude that
Safe?
one's...
What would be dangerous to conclude?
Listen, this is difficult. No, should be out.
Difficult? All right. Well, we are having a great deal of fun.
Okay, well...
From our point of view, so are you, in
Well,
creating
yeah.
this very, very fascinating idea of difficulty.
Okay, well, everybody in this room comes here for a reason, right?
All right.
Okay. Some might suggest that it's enlightenment, some might, but one cannot be enlightened by somebody else. You know, and
Very good.
there's a tendency to get real frustrated on my part when I'm in
Tendency.
pursuit
All right.
of understanding.
Yes.
And
When you feel you must pursue it, then you may have a tendency to become frustrated. Because the idea of pursuing gives you enough time to create the idea of frustration. When you know you have it already, then there is no need to pursue, there is no time to create frustration. Because time is created from separating yourself from the idea. And only within the creation of separation can there be frustration.
It sounds like a lot of practice.
Nope. It is simply doing. Now, again, do not judge the path you have created. You are getting, in a sense, in your terminology, exactly where you need to get. Thank you. What brought you here?
I brought me.
Very good. You will always bring yourself exactly where you need to be. Therefore, what are you pursuing? Since you always wind up exactly where you need to be.
That's beautiful, Bashar. I could just keep that in mind.
Oh, I feel that if I do not remember and repeat this to myself moment to moment to moment, somehow it will slip away to somewhere. I do not know where. There is nowhere for anything to slip away to. But I know somehow it will slip away, elude my grasp. I will have to run after it. I will get very tired and frustrated having to run after it. Oh, why don't you come back? I am tired of running. Oh. Now that I am tired of running, I see it didn't really go anywhere at all. It has always been right here with me. What was I running around for? Perhaps just to find out I didn't need to run. That will be one of the ideas of limited physical reality. To run to find you don't need to run.
Which is a part of the process, isn't
it? It is life. And simply, you can make of life whatever you wish. Therefore, as we have said, do not judge your path. Live your path. Enjoy your path. And it will then go by quickly, not allowing there to be enough time to create frustration. Everything will be happening to you all at once. You will be so excited, you will not have time to think. You will only have time to do.
That periodically happens.
All right. Again, understand that when it does, in that moment, your entire reality is of that nature. There is no such thing as a part idea. It is not that you, oh, I do this sometimes, but then compare it to this other times, blah, 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 as you say. Understand in that way that simply when you are experiencing any one reality, then that is your entire reality at that moment. If it changes, then you change of your own choice the entire reality. But if you have changed the entire reality of your own choice, you can change it back again as well. But if it does not change back again by simply letting it change however it needs to change, then you know that whatever changes are taking place are exactly the changes that need to be taking place. And so you can then say, well, then I must always then be creating the perfect reality, even though I may not judge with my judgment. Them to be, they must be. Therefore, I can relax and enjoy what I am creating, because each and every one of them is a perfect manifestation.
Beautiful. Okay, thanks.
No, thank you.
I'd like to elaborate, or ask a question elaborating on what he said.
Oh, right.
In pursuing matters, say information if you're a writer and you're pursuing information of something that has happened, to write it down on a piece of paper, you know that it's already happened, okay, and everything's gone by, and this is something to do that, say, you're here to do, as you know, in a severance to mankind. And if it isn't researched and pursued physically, then it will not get down on the paper for everyone to see, or for everyone to read or see as a result of that writing, unless that servitude is pursued, as opposed to knowing that it's already there.
Simply also understand that many times it is simply a matter of your own definitions. Pursuit, in that way, does not necessarily have to carry the idea of effort. Understand simply that you are, quote-unquote, pursuing understanding by allowing yourself to simply be attracted to the situations you need, or allowing those situations to be attracted to you and then acting upon them. That is also, quote-unquote, pursuing understanding. You are still doing. Pursuing is doing. You follow me? Not struggling. Pursuing is doing. Thank you. Thank you. Question?
Yeah. You'd mentioned that you, meaning your society, has been watching our society for a long time. And I'm wondering, by what means does your society watch our society?
With our eyes. Also, through consciousness, through telepathic connection. You follow me?
Yes. In terms of using your eyes, does this mean physically being here with your ships?
From time to time, yes.
Are you talking about then, now like the details, the fine details of what might go on in a household, it would seem to me if you're going to do it with your eyes, you'd have to be close enough physically to see it. Or do you have other means to observe that kind of goings on?
In a sense. But it will always be within the connection of the allowance and willingness of the entities in that way concerned with that household.
Conscious allowance or?
Not necessarily. Okay. Not at first. But many times then when communication is made, it becomes conscious. All right, allow me to phrase it this way. There will be that communication made when it is the potential that it will then immediately become conscious.
I understand.
Okay. Otherwise, it would not serve the purpose.
Is this then by actually transporting, and I know the means by which you do that, transporting your physical bodies here and doing that, or would it be one of your beings being born into human form on this planet? And
can be both.
And it is both then?
Yes.
Thank you.
Question.
Are any of those beings that are being incarnated in a position of leadership for the people?
Many of them have begun to find themselves in those positions as you describe them, but understand in that way that what they are beginning to understand is that there is no need to be a leader. There is only the idea that they are in a position of leadership, quote unquote, to be of service to allow every individual to know they are their own leader. And as such, you will find then that the structures that you call leadership structures, when occupied by those individuals, will transform from leadership structures to reflective structures. You follow me?
Yes.
Thank you. Are these particular beings, or some of them, fully consciously aware that they did incarnate for the purpose of communication?
Some. Question.
Sometimes when I'm feeling very, I guess, enlightened.
You guess enlightened?
Okay. Sometimes when I'm feeling...
Oh, I guess I'm enlightened now.
Just beat me to death. Okay. Anyway, there are times when I might consciously say thanks, Bashar, or Dr. Evil, or whoever, when I'm feeling very good.
All right. What about thanking you?
Well, I do that too.
Thank you.
That habit is beginning to persist too.
All right, thank you.
Do you feel that?
Feel what?
Do you?
When you thank in that way, when you are within the vibration, as we have said, that is equal to our own, we will sense the idea in an overall sense. We do not always necessarily have to be specifically aware. You follow me? Okay. It will add the idea of conviction and assurance to the momentum that is taking place between our societies, and that we will always sense. Sometimes we will sense the specific individuals, yes. It depends upon where our focus is at the time. But realize, it will not matter whether we sense it or not. You are still creating it. You have yourself to thank, if any thanks are necessary. Thank you. Question?
I have one.
All right.
Exploring the idea of talent for a moment.
All right, just for a moment.
Okay. For a moment.
Not yet.
Okay. I was...
All right, now, time's up. Would you like an extension?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
I won't be specific about it until I finish. I had the idea about channeling before, that it was like in the instance of Daryl and yourself, that like Daryl just kind of split for a while. You know, it's like he took off and you used his body or something. But
not really.
No, I know. When I was talking about this last night, there was something quite different that transpired on that, and it was interesting because what it appeared to be was that, first of all, what was said to me was, Daryl doesn't go anywhere. Where is Daryl to go? Where's Daryl going? Okay. And there was something about a shift of focus, but even that was not what I thought it was. And I said, well, and then there was like a lot of things that were said, and then basically what it boiled down to was that Daryl is actually the bridge, or it's like it's done through Daryl somehow, or Daryl is an integral part of that, or it wouldn't transpire the way it does. Is that true? I mean, is that the way it works?
Every symbol which is manifested for an unfoldment is always an integral part of that unfoldment. Mm-hmm. Thus, the physical channel is a symbol. We are a symbol. Mm-hmm. It is the experience itself which is first and foremost. In other words, the interaction, in a sense, exists before the creation of the symbols that then seem to cause the interaction to occur. Thus, the principle of the communication, of the sharing, of the vibration itself exists, and projected from that idea, which is actually the consciousness that is myself and the physical channel, then is projected the idea of myself and the physical channel. The interaction itself is the being with whom you are dealing. And that is why we say you are the event of your life.
Right. Yeah, that's
the event is the being with whom you are dealing. The physical beings involved are projections of the event.
Yes, right, exactly. Now, one more thing having to do with the idea of telepathy. I was looking at, like, for instance, we use vocal communication here through Daryl's body and then with our bodies. Now, let's say that we use no physical verbal communication.
All right, we use no physical verbal communication.
Okay.
I said it. You did not say it.
Okay. And so let's say...
Are you going to say it? Or are we going to say something else?
No, I'm just going to finish saying what I was going to say.
Oh, you keep saying, let's say this, let's say that.
Okay. All right. You have a concept. Okay, you want to transmit the concept so that we're all going to have the concept. Now, if you do that telepathically and we each would pick it up, or we each would have it simultaneous with your creation of it. But since we're each totally unique universes in our own right, we would each be creating that.
You are anyway.
Yes, okay.
You are receiving it telepathically, but also there is the idea of manifestation. That through the physical idea, you will then, from the idea, symbology of physicality you have created, make sure, to a greater or lesser degree, that you are in unison. Mm-hmm. You follow me? Mm-hmm. It is again a projection, an idea, but we make use of it in that way because that is what you are agreeing to substantiate, the idea that you all experience the same thing, even though you all are receiving it telepathically.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It is your feedback system.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was just looking at that thinking that it would be very sort of stimulating, at some point that we would, have our channeling sessions like this telepathically instead of using verbal things. I just thought that was exciting. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question?
Is there a certain form of a pyramid which has greatest potential for concentrating energy, or whatever it is that pyramids do? Is there a particular best?
There are many different crystalline forms of that idea that will represent channelings of different types of energy. They will be different. Not best, simply different. What do you wish?
I'm interested in one that tends to preserve freshness, vigor, energy, youth, all those kind of,
All those
health.
things in one.
All in the same one, yes.
That's some pyramid.
Yeah.
If you then wish to embody that idea in the symbol, you do recognize it is a symbol.
Yes.
Thank you. Then you may choose the one you have recognized in that way at what you term to be Giza.
Mm-hmm. Can you give me the dimensions of that?
Can you not find them within your literature?
Yeah, I suppose I could. I was hoping to take a shortcut and you give me the proportions.
As expressed in your literature, you will find them thee. Angle to be approximately 55 degrees. Baseline, in that way, as you would call it, baseline, for one particular manifestation of size, to then be 9, what you term to be 9 3/8 inches. Height, 8 7/8 inches. This will give you the approximate dimensional ratio.
Is an approximation just as good as an exact proportion?
Within 3% will be all right.
Okay. Thank you.
Question.
Is it possible to create your own pyramids without having a physical structure?
Of course.
For the same purposes?
Yes. Question.
Yes. You mentioned that the some from SSI may reincarnate into children, right?
Where?
On this planet, in particular households. Did I follow you right on that?
At this time, allow me to say, the majority in that way of incarnations are not from our civilization.
But there are some.
Not quite yet. Thank you.
Is there a majority of one particular civilization?
Only in a sense. There will be the idea of many civilizations represented by the spirit form, the soul form, as having been connected and are being connected to many different civilizations. But there will be, in a sense, a channeling of this idea, in other words, a gathering place from which they then usually will be projected. The majority being projected from the gathering place you call Arcturus. It will not necessarily represent the idea you would call their point of origin.
I understand. Thank you.
But it will do to represent the idea. Question.
Sorry, I didn't understand what you meant.
What are you sorry for?
Oh, well, I'm not sorry.
Thank you.
What did you mean by the statement that it was a gathering place? I didn't understand that. I mean, I know what gathering means, but I didn't understand it within the context of what you were saying.
In a sense, when many individual non-physical consciousnesses, now this will occur with physical consciousness as well, but simply in the example we are giving with non-physical consciousness, that wishes to identify with a particular vibration and inject themselves, project themselves into a certain vibrational physical reality. Many times they will then pass through, in a sense, the civilization that represents the way station in charge of that vibration. You follow me? In charge of that particular project. These are all very colloquial terms and not meant to be literal, not exact.
In other words, it's basically an insistence or whatever, and allowing them to...
It would be as if you had created, in your terminology by analogy, a company that represents one particular type of output. Now, any individuals wishing to express that particular type of output then would join your company, and therefore all other individuals say, well, that individual, no matter what his point of origin, now comes from that company.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yeah, it would just enable those beings or individuals to identify with the vibration and get...
a focus, yes.
Yeah, focus, okay, thank you.
There will be in your terms of time a few more of your minutes remaining. Question.
Yes, what is Asasani's term for their idea of God?
All that is.
All it is. So the conventional or the mass idea, more or less, an implant through Christian terms of the supreme being. So that's not right.
There is no right. There is no wrong.
So how could you put it in perspective for me?
Simply, many times, individuals upon your planet, when they define the idea you call God, will simply not allow it to be, literally, all that is. In other words, even though God, as you call it, may be omnipresent, you understand the term omnipresent?
Yes.
They will not understand that being omnipresent means that then God must also occupy the space in which they are. They still see God as separate from themselves. All that is simply all that is. Conscious of itself in that way, conscious of itself as the collection of all within it, and creating those individual consciousnesses to also be able to recognize themselves as separate and also themselves as all that is.
Yes, I got that. That's good.
Thank you. Yes?
Do you see us as honest beings who are really...
Honesty in that way really has no meaning for us. We simply see you as creators, creating what you wish to create. Your creations are always, to use your term, honest reflections of what you choose to perceive about yourself.
Do you prepare before you come before us?
In one meaning of the term, there will be, in a sense, my positioning into what will be, to some degree, represented by you as a meditative state. Yes.
Are your eyes closed?
Not always.
When you finish with us, for instance, on a nightly basis, then are we discussed among the other people? In terms of.
In a sense. But many times those levels of conversation and communication take place simultaneously. You follow me?
Yeah.
But you are not talked about as if, oh, those poor people.
No, that was not what I was...
All right.
What do you do on the off time, if there's such thing?
Other things. Understand that there will be other individuals with whom we are in contact in the same manner as the physical channel before you. There is also the idea of what you term to be technical engineer of spacecraft. You follow me?
Okay.
There will be contact with other civilizations, which will be taking place, upon which I have been to many, in terms of the initial contact, the setting up of the contacting. You follow me?
So are there a lot of civilizations that have not been contacted?
In a sense, by us, yes.
Really?
Although we are, to some degree, aware of more than we have physically encountered. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
There are many hundreds of millions of civilizations, as you would call them, throughout the multiverse.
Do we all know each other from former civilizations?
Many of you do. Not all.
Is there some commonality that exists?
Yes. You are here by association of the agreement in that way to partake of the transformational experience which this particular planetary vibration is undergoing at this time, for your own purposes and for the purposes you are willing to share with many other individuals. In other words, to use your vernacular, in one idea, this is where it is all happening. This is the place to be for that particular experience.
Thank you.
Do you have a set number of hours in your day?
There will be a physical representation by what you term to be the rotation, in a sense, of our planetary body. You follow me?
Yeah. I guess I'm trying to get a sense of, before you had said that sometimes when you meet with us, what would seem to us to be next week is the same.
We do not in that way so much keep track of time as you do, no. We can inject into it, in a sense, when it serves the purpose of the communication.
So you don't necessarily focus on, well, okay.
We do not care when we do anything.
You just do it.
Yes.
Or how long.
No.
Okay.
Thank you. There will be, however, the idea you call all right. Approximately 25 1/4 of your hours to our day.
Mm-hmm.
You follow me?
Yes.
Allow me to say that always we enjoy the sharing of our consciousness with yours. We thank you for your willingness to extend the sharing of your consciousness with ours and many others. From this sharing is always produced the unconditional love, which is the support foundation for all creation. Therefore, recognize that by allowing yourselves to be yourselves, you are being of service to all that is. And in being of service to all that is, you are automatically supported as a part of it. We will then automatically thank you and automatically say good night.
Thank you.